Hello and welcome to our programme Q&A covering the MSc in Infection Biology. We have our panel here today that are going to do their best to answer any questions that you've got about the MSc. We are recording this session, so don't panic if you can't stay for the full thing or you miss anything. We'll send the recording out shortly afterwards. If you've got any questions that are around finance, accommodation, things like that, I'll put some useful links into the chat because this session's more about the programme structure and things like that. And we do have our postgraduate event that's running tomorrow. It's a university-wide event, and there is sessions about finance, accommodation set up throughout the day. So that would be a good session to join as well. But yeah, it would be good to introduce our panel. So Tansy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, so I'm Dr. Tansy Hamilton. I'm the Programme Director for the MSc in Infection Biology. So I have a background in both bacteriology, I did my PhD on E. coli, and then parasitology, where I did a postdoc, and I'm now a principal investigator at the University of Glasgow in the School of Infection and Immunity.
And Savitha?
Hi, I'm Savitha Ravindran. I'm a former student of the MSc Infection Biology program. I was an international student. I'm from India, so I did my MSc Infection Biology in 2022, and currently I'm working at Center for Virus Research, University of Glasgow.
Fab, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Tansy, would you like to sort of kick off by giving us a bit of an overview of the programme?
Yes, sure. So I've got a few slides that I can share. I'll just share those ones. But Naomi, if you want to interrupt me at any point, or if questions come in, then we can dip in and out of these. So let me just put this on. Is that coming up okay for everybody's screen?
Yeah, that's working.
Excellent. So the MSc is a 12-month course. It starts mid-September. It's 180 credits, and it's full-time study. You have the option in this, if you want, to specialise in bacteriology, parasitology, or virology. You don't have to. You can come out with an MSc in infection biology with no specialism if you prefer. And also, if you, for any reason, you felt you didn't want to do the whole MSc, you can also just do one semester and you would get a postgraduate certificate for 60 credits, or 2 semesters and you would get a postgraduate diploma. In terms of how the course is structured, so the first semester, you have a week to sort of orientate yourself in Glasgow. Then you start your compulsory courses. There's 2 of those in semester 1, a research skills course, for which we share with the MSc immunology students as well. So that's 20 credits. That gives you a lot of generic skills, a lot of really basic skills that are required for doing research. It's just really to get everybody on a level playing field. So there are some labs as part of that, an immunology lab and several microbiology labs as well to teach basic skills. We have things like ethics, statistics, literature searching, whole host of sort of generic courses in that. You also, alongside that, do a 40-credit course called Host Pathogen Interactions. So that's mainly lecture-based, that one, but with some tutorials as well. And that covers the sort of main content, I suppose, of the sort of infection biology course. It covers various pathogens, life cycles, their interactions with the host, a bit of immunology, some chemotherapy, some vaccination strategies, that kind of thing. And then in semester 1, you also, as part of the research skills course, get an overnight trip to what we call SCENE, the Scottish Centre for Ecology and the Natural Environment. And I can show you some pictures of that later. It's a very nice place to be. Oh, actually, I'll just come up here. So yeah, it's on the banks of Loch Lomond, so you get a chance to go and explore a little bit of the countryside as well. But you give some talks as part of that from the research skills course, which are assessed, but you get to do it in a very nice environment, a very supportive environment with your teaching staff and peers as well. And semester 2, that's where you can diversify a bit. So you have to take 3 different optioned courses, 2 10-credit courses and 1 20 credits. There's a choice currently of 11 options. We're hoping that over the next couple of years that will be extended. So there's a whole range of things at the moment, including things like bioinformatics, omics, imaging, animal models, current trends and challenges, diagnostics, etc. We're also looking at possibly next year getting that hopefully there will be a medical mycology option added, and over the next couple of years we can get the funding and get it developed. We're hoping for a pandemic preparedness course as well. So these options are not just specific to the infection biology degree, they're also shared with students from other MSc programs, so you get to meet a wide variety of students. And then at the end of semester 2, you do a compulsory course called Designing a Research Project, and that's really to prepare you for your projects. You do some background reading, you think about the types of experiments you would do, how you're going to analyse your data, and how you can plan your project. So it means that by semester 3, when you go and do your research project in the labs, you're already super prepared and ready to hit the ground running. So the research project lasts about 14 weeks. You get a choice of projects that you can select from, so you would indicate your top choices from that, and virtually every time students will get one of those choices. We don't base this on any kind of academic achievement. It's really a juggling act to make sure as many students as possible get the project that they really want. There are different types of project. You can do a wet lab project where you're working in the lab every day. You can do a dry investigative project where you're still doing sort of research and generating data, but you would do it perhaps from a computer, doing bioinformatics. And the other option is that you learn how to do a systematic review of the literature. So you take the literature and really drill into that and try and, by comparing a lot of literature, do some data analysis and make some new contributions to the field. So that's the structure of the course. I don't know if there's any questions, Naomi, or anything regarding that.
No. We are listening and taking note.
Excellent. Okay.
Do you have further slides to go? Yeah.
I mean, I have some other slides, but if we
just if you want to run through them, and then I've got a list of sort of questions that typically we do kind of get asked, so then we can see what's not covered and come back to that.
Okay, no problem. So I mentioned specialisms earlier. It's just to say that in order to qualify for a specialism, you have to complete 90 credits worth of the course in that specialism. So that means 10 credits of one of an optional course. So it's one of the 10 credit courses that you would take for that. Some of them, like our emerging viruses course, automatically qualify you for virology. Some of the others, you can do different flavors of assignments within that, bacteriology, parasitology, or virology, and that will also qualify you for that specialism. You also have to do your research project and therefore designing a research project course in that specialist area. You don't have to decide straight away when you come. You have plenty of chances to think about it. And even if you do courses that qualify you for a specialism, if you decide at the end you don't want to have it, you don't have to take that. You can decide up until the final exam board whether you actually want that specialism added to your degree transcript or not. In terms of where you'll be taught, we have various locations. So there's a really nice new building, the Adam Smith Business School and Postgraduate Teaching Hub, that's been opened in the last couple of years. And it's really a home for PGT students from a variety of courses. You'll have lectures across the university building. Some might be in the ARC, our Advanced Research Centre. Some might be in the James McCune Smith Learning Hub. So this is another new building that's opened recently. It's got really excellent facilities. Or you might be in one of our more historical buildings, like the Joseph Black building, or the main campus, or the Boyd Orr building. For your research projects, though, you'll be either in the Sir Graham Davis building if you do bacteriology or parasitology, or you'll be out at our Gascube campus, a couple of miles up the road, where we have the Centre for Virus Research. So these are leading research institutions that are known throughout the world in terms of having really good infection biology, and you'll get to do and work with some leading researchers in the field. We also have other opportunities. It's important you don't just do your course while you're here. You can also do some extracurricular activities and get recognition for those through a Graduate Skills Award. There are some options to do a bit of paid work in terms of demonstrating to undergraduates or maybe being a student guide for certain events. And you can also volunteer as well. We have a lot of public engagement opportunities. We can become a STEM ambassador. That's a science, technology, engineering and maths ambassador, which kind of works with local school pupils, or you can get involved in a variety of events in your local community. All being well, you'll graduate the December in the year after you start your course in the Butte Hall. So these are some of our former graduates here. You get to wear a nice hood trimmed with yellow and the very grand surroundings of the Butte Hall. In terms of what's next, Savitha's already told you that she's working in a lab up at the CVR as a research technician. Some of our students go on to do PhDs or have research posts, research assistants, research technicians, either in a research lab or a diagnostic lab perhaps. That can be academic, clinical or industrial. Some students go on to work for life sciences companies, and that might be in product development or as a representative selling some of their products. Some go on to the food and farming industries, and a lot of our graduates go on to teach as well and sort of inspire the next generation of students. I was also asked to say something about how you could prepare for doing your MSc. Sorry, was that something? No, thought I heard something. So if English isn't your first language, you're going to be taught in English, and you're going to be writing all your assignments in English and giving talks in English. So really, that's probably the biggest thing you can do between now and joining us is to practice your English. That will really make things easier for you. I would also read some science. Doesn't have to be anything in particular, but just get used to reading scientific papers and reviews and some news articles just to stimulate your interest. I would also say if maths isn't your strong point, just brush up on basic calculations and statistics, because that will come in throughout your course. And I would also advise just reading up about life in Glasgow in the UK, so it's not a complete surprise to you if you come here. If you're not familiar with the city, it's really helpful to do that in advance. So I think that's all I've got to say, but we're very happy to answer any questions. And we can also ask Savitha to give us her experiences of having done this course.
Yeah, I think it would be really good actually to hear from Savitha. Just I suppose going through the structure there. Savitha, was there a sort of highlight? Did you have like a sort of favourite course, or was it your project? Was there something that really stood out to you throughout your MSc?
Okay, if you're asking about the favorite part of the course, I think anyone would agree that will be your research project, because we are into a lab for 3 months and we are part of the lab, and we are like experiencing a lot of research work. And also my favorite part of the course is my research project. I would say that because so the decision to come to Glasgow was like for me it was rapid, because during the pandemic, like everyone, I was intrigued by the impact of pandemic which happened, and which took the entire world. So I decided to study viruses in depth. So that's why I specialized in virology. So when I was doing my web search, I found the University of Glasgow has a top renowned uh, virus research institute, and I decided to make my move to Glasgow, and it's an amazing experience. So other than that, my favorite course, I would say it will be host pathogen interaction. It's a 60 credit course. It's a huge course. Many people will just come, and so with my batch, most of the people just overlook that course because giving more didn't give much importance to that course, but that is a course which you need to give more importance, because it's a 60 credit course, and it teaches us everything like bacteriology, parasitology, virology, and it gives basis for everything. So that's the course I would say you should focus on in the first semester.
Fab,
Yeah.
thank you. Can you tell us more about so after your studies then, more about the role you're in now?
Okay, so I finished my research project. So luckily, the one of the labs in the CVR has a position open. So so it was the same thing which I was doing for my research project. So I did my research project on bat coronaviruses and like pseudotyped neutralization assay, and also so the position open is almost using the same assay. So I was like, I just applied and I was so lucky to got into that lab and I started my work and like the lab which I am into is like having fabulous technologies. Like I'm developing a new technology which is phage immunoprecipitation sequencing, which is new in CVR as well. So we are looking into paramyxoviruses and like we are developing this library to study paramyxoviruses cross-species transmission in detail. So
Wow, that
it's
sounds really interesting.
yeah, it's like fabulous.
And you mentioned you were an international student. Had you sort of moved away from home before, or did you move away for your MSc?
Miss, I have been with Miss. This is not my first international experience, but definitely for the studying and work, this is my first international experience. So I was in Dubai before with my husband for a short period of time. So when I decided to move to Glasgow, so that was like an amazing experience because I I was not knowing about the climate here. So when I came here, so when I came here in September, it was like for a person from India, it was so cold here. So I was like, I find it very difficult initially to get adjusted to the climate. I think everyone will agree to this because the climate. But I within a month or so, I just got accustomed to the climate and to the university culture and everything. And it's an amazing experience here.
Yeah, it's funny. Everybody's always surprised about the weather, and we do tell people about the weather, but I don't think they believe how bad it can be or how varied it can be in the one day.
Yeah,
um,
that's true.
yeah. I'm just having a wee look. We don't if MD watching has any questions, please do use the chat, and we'll do our best to answer them. Um, Actually, one for yourself, Tansy, that was submitted beforehand was how helpful is MSc Infection Biology for healthcare leadership development in low income settings?
Oh, that's quite specific. I think, I mean, certainly I guess it depends what you're doing. I mean, we obviously are looking at infection biology and all aspects of it, from basic biology and biochemistry, molecular biology, through to disease pathogenesis, a bit of immunology, a bit of chemotherapy, a bit of vaccines. So all of that is going to be very helpful information, I think, for that role. We're not, I mean, we don't tend to have clinicians particularly teaching this course. They might take a couple of lectures here and there, but the majority of the people teaching this course will be scientists, or specialist university teaching staff, who again will have a science background. So we can't really provide a sort of clinical outlook, and I suppose we don't also perhaps do a lot of. I mean, you will learn some leadership skills to some extent in the sort of transferable skills that you gain from the course, but that's not a focus of the course. I would say it would give you a very good background in infectious disease, but from a scientific perspective rather than necessarily a healthcare perspective.
Yeah, fab. And we do get a lot of international students that join our various MSc programs, and I think a lot of them maybe come a bit anxious about how easy it is to sort of meet other people and make friends. So, Savitha, how was your experience? Did you find that there was loads of opportunities to meet people and it was quite easy to meet other people?
Oh, yes. Okay. So it all depends on you as well. So the university have loads and loads of opportunity to meet other people and get collaborated. So for an international student, I'd say that use the opportunity, the study spaces the university has to offer, like the university library, the James McCune Smith Learning Hub, the Advanced Research Center. Some of them are open until midnight. So these are great spaces for a solo study or your group work. It will help us to collaborate or to just focus on your work. So that's the so for us we used to go to these study spaces in between classes. So the classes are really spaced. So we will get up to 5 to 8 lectures a week. It is well spaced. So in between the lectures, we used to gather in one of the study hubs to discuss, to collaborate, to do work or do our assignments. So I would say that will be a great way to connect. And there are like other opportunities, like if you are interested, you can volunteer in many different programs and meet and greet other people. And there are in fact, there are English learning classes to help international students where you can join, I think once in a week or twice in a week. I haven't gone there yet, but there are loads of opportunities. Okay. Only thing you have to reach out.
Yeah, and I think also as part of the research skills course that you do at the very beginning of semester one, that the labs there allow you to interact with other students as well. So yeah, so you'll be in small groups for the labs, and maybe different small groups depending on which lab it is, and that will help. And then obviously the scene overnight trip is a really good way of getting to know the rest of your classmates. And then by the time you get to semester two, you're doing options with students from different MSc programs. So I think I mean, there's obviously lots of opportunities to mingle outside of the talk material, but even within the talk material, I think you get the opportunity to meet a lot of other students.
Yeah, that's true. There are some of the courses which allow us to do group activities. So in that way, we can get connected to other students of other PGT programs as well.
Yeah.
We also have an infection and immunity society that you can join, and they have some activities, quiz nights or extracurricular talks, things like that, where you can meet other students, undergraduates as well.
Yeah, lots of opportunities then. It was kind of touched on there, but can you tell us a wee bit more about the different assessments that will take place through the MSc?
Yeah, so we have a variety of different formats, and we try to vary that because not every student is good at the same sort of format, so we like to spread it about a bit. So sometimes you'll have essays to do, so that sometimes you'll have assessed presentations to do. So for the research skills course, there's an assessed presentation. There's also an assessment of your pipetting skills in the lab, and you write a lab report on that one. For the host pathogen interactions, you write an essay, and then you have a couple of exams. One of those is a data analysis paper, and one is an essay paper where you would write 3 shorter essays in the time. And then in semester 2 with the options, it depends what options you take. There's a whole range of things there, ranging from essays to sort of data analysis type assignments to writing a mock grant proposal, giving talks, all the rest, a whole range of ways of being assessed there. And then for your projects, you'll write a project report. You also get a grading from your supervisor for how well you've performed during the project. And then we have a sort of day at the end, very end of the course. The very last thing you'll do is your project presentation, where you get together with all the other students doing your flavour of project, whether it's bacteriology, parasitology, or virology, and you'll give presentations which are then assessed as well.
Nice. One thing that academics are always saying is that it's a 12-month full-time program, and it can be quite full on. So Savitha, how did you manage the workload? Did you have any sort of top tips for managing it or staying on top of it all?
Okay, so there are many different ways. So what I did is like set your deadline one day before the actual deadline, because if you miss the deadline, then you will lose your credit points, which is not affordable, which we can't afford. So I'll always tell that, okay, if 17th is your deadline to submit it on 16. So that's one way I just managed to submit all the assignments well ahead of the time. And other thing is that don't waste your time. So when you have an assignment, so at the start of the course itself, we know what is the type of assessment you are going to get, whether it's a submission or a presentation. So start immediately as soon as you get to know, okay, this is what you are going to do. Start working on the project. So a little bit every day will help rather than piling it up to the last day and last minute panic mode. Sometimes it won't work. So that's my advice. So last year, some of the students asked me for the host pathogen interaction, when would we actually start studying for our exams? I said, today, right now, start now. So that's the only way you can get, because at the end of the course, when you actually approach your exam, there will be like 40 classes, and the whole thing, it's impossible to study the 40 classes in a day or two. So like, as you have to do it along with the course. As soon as you finish a course, you have to write your notes, you have to start studying. Actually, the classes are well spaced. If you really plan your day, you can actually do great. So that's what my advice will be, like start right away. Don't wait for anything.
Great. And Tansy, would you add anything to that? Would you agree with that?
I think that's really good advice. I think, you know, when you've had a lecture, you should go home and review it and make sure that you can read your lecture notes and they make sense and that you've understood things, and you know that your study time includes not just going to lectures, but time spent reviewing that lecture, doing some background reading. There may be some papers that you've been recommended to have a look at. And then it also includes obviously preparing for assessed work, assignments, and then in the case of post-pattern interactions, there's sort of revision as well for the exams. But you know, there's an awful lot of material. We're reviewing that at the moment to try and make sure it's not too onerous for students. But it is important that you take ownership of your learning and that you do it as you go. So, you know, always review stuff and don't leave it to the last minute.
And to add on to that, most of the professors will leave their email address to ask any questions. So it is very helpful. If you have any questions, you can just, if you don't want to ask it in the class, you can always email and they will always get back to you.
Great. I think that's the main thing, isn't it? If you have a question, ask that question, because there's probably someone sat next to you thinking the same thing. That is us at time. That was very quick. Thanks very much to our panel for taking time out of your days. I know you've got a lot on, and that was great. We covered loads of information, so hopefully that helps everybody watching. What I will say is, if you've got any further questions, don't panic. This isn't your only opportunity to ask them. Our programme administration email addresses are on all of our programme web pages, so if you think of anything, if you want more information, do get in touch with us. And like I said, that postgraduate online event is tomorrow, the 6th of March, and there's loads of other sessions there covering the financial side of things as well. So thanks very much for your time, and thanks to everybody that's watched, and hopefully we'll see you all in September. Thanks very much. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.